Okay, welcome to the School of Wisdom live group coaching. Today's Monday, April 13th, 2026, and we're going to be just diving in. Whenever there's questions, people can put them in the chat. We'll be doing live one-on-one coaching, hot seat coaching. But today, I have a topic in mind that I just want to bring to your awareness and to start to open up this conversation, especially if you self-identify as a people pleaser. Big part of stepping into authentic expression of who you really are is particularly contained in you beginning to remove the masks that you have consistently worn to protect yourself. These masks show up in every conversation where you mute, you shrink, you withdraw, you bite your tongue, you hold back. This holding back, it seems supportive in the moment. Maybe you avoid a conflict, maybe you avoid somebody's judgment, maybe you avoid disappointment. But in all of these experiences, you begin to minimize yourself and your experience of this beautiful, abundant thing called life. Life is utterly gorgeous. It's beautiful. You just have to walk outside your home, look outside, and immediately you will begin to perceive beauty everywhere, from the birds, the sky, the tree, the flowers, animals, people. When you go and witness life without your own story, you begin to smile effortlessly because you begin to realize there is a beauty to this experience that is so beyond your understanding, beyond your capacity to even really internalize, especially when you're so myopic and you're self focused on, do I look good? How am I being perceived? Am I doing it right? When these thoughts are so overwhelming, we really lose our ability to really step back, expand our gaze, and take in what is being revealed to us. Life is alive, and you are at the center of it. You are alive. Your experience is dictated by your presence in this experience of life. It's your birthright to be here. If you were not here, you would not be in this conversation. And even in the conversation of your own life, the reason you're sitting here listening to this conversation is because somewhere you've been feeling stifled. You've been feeling stuck. You've been feeling like, I want more. I know I deserve, somewhere in me believes I deserve more than this. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be able to experience good things. I'm not a bad person. But why do I feel like life is only giving me scraps? Why do I feel like I'm only really accepting scraps? Why do I feel like the bare minimum is enough? Why am I settling? This is not the life in where I really perceived or designed for myself when I was young, free, and completely uninhibited in my imagination. No, when I was free, I was thinking about what's next. What could it be upon the horizon? What is available there when I'm no longer bound to, let's say it was school or your home life? And yet, for many of us, as you move forward into your adult lives and into careers and relationships, a lot of those early conditionings have tracked themselves into your personality and into how you've practiced staying safe and showing up in your life. And that looks like really protecting yourself all the time, being on the defense. And when you're on the defense, there's an internal decision to avoid being on the radar. There's a decision to avoid being seen, to hide your visibility, to really just take up enough space to get by, but to avoid any kind of pressure that comes with owning space, owning yourself, owning your voice. And this is why we're going to be talking for the duration of this call about repressed anger. Repressed anger, especially for recovering people pleasers, is one of the most uncomfortable emotions to really be with because it rattles the cage that you have become comfortable living from within, the cage of looking good, the cage of being acceptable by other people's judgments, projections, and their standards of what they deem acceptable in the moment. And when you live in that kind of a cage, your voice becomes muzzled. You become just a fraction of who you really are in order to be in experiences. So now, when it comes to showing up in experiences, there's always a measure of anxiety. Anxiety that arises from the fact that you feel like you don't really feel like you fit, that you don't feel like you can take up space. And because of that, you have to self monitor yourself. You have to monitor your way of showing up, your words, your even your own thinking you're monitoring because you're having a real flow of your experience. Let's say you're in a meeting, and in that meeting, you have somebody in that meeting, let's say it's the superior or the boss, and they have a very stern to the point attitude, and they have a feeling or an aura around them that they they do not want to be disappointed. They don't want to hear bad news. They just want to hear what they want to hear. And that, for a lot of us, if you're in an experience like that, brings you right back to when you were in childhood and you didn't want to disappoint one of your parents. It may have been your father. And it may have been this experience of being like, I'm now walking on eggshells because I can tell from my dad's body language, from his tonality, that he doesn't have space for me. He doesn't have any room for me to make a mistake. In fact, I feel like if I do something that goes against his invisible expectations, which somehow as a child you're supposed to just mentally know, you're supposed to be telepathic in your capacity to know what their expectations are without them expressing them openly. That mirrors itself in future scenarios, like when you're sitting in a meeting and you now are trying through your mind to quickly garner up whatever house of cards that you need to create to give them what you think they want. See, that is the operative piece here. When you're constantly pandering to people and you have to give them what you think they want, you are not rested. You are not grounded. You are spinning your wheels internally and you are literally trying to create something out of thin air. And so you become well versed at being a BSer because you've learned, I just need to say the right words. But this is actually what tracks deeper into creating a deeper felt sense of something called imposter syndrome. And I know many of you probably listening to this have experienced that or self identify with that feeling. But really, the experience of imposter syndrome is one of having to continuously wear a mask and not feeling like there is any room for you to be real, for you to make mistakes, for you to be human, for you to just be enough in the conversation to be able to show up and be able to fill the air with what is spontaneous, what is arising within your natural intelligence. When it comes to actually waking up to the wisdom within, there's a recognition that there is a divine intelligence in you, this intelligence that's capable of processing life, that's capable of taking your experiences that come through your five senses, and to be able to actually create a model of reality based on that. And based on that model of reality, you're able to navigate life. This is unbelievable. And in that, you have something called imagination. And imagination can work for you or can work against you. And many of you already know what it's like when it works against you. You start to feed worst case scenarios into that beautiful thing called imagination, and you start to fear what is coming next. And when you have so removed yourself from your own future because you've minimized and minimized and minimized yourself, what happens is when you're creating an idea of what is next, my next interaction with somebody, my next relationship, the next conversation, my next career move, the future that I want to step into, you don't believe that you can actually be in that future because you've already been practicing editing yourself out of your current life because you are so practiced at muting, muzzling, and shutting yourself down in order to make sure other people are okay. And this is what leads to chronic procrastination, chronic anxiety, and a sense of complete helplessness to your circumstance. And the truth is, for many of us, anger is the emotion that we have to spend time feeling, interacting with, getting flexible to be with, to loosen your internal bandwidth from feeling like anger is only an emotion of destruction. That is how it was modeled for many of us. And so there was a decision made early on. I don't want to be like that person who I got hurt by. And when that decision gets internalized, you begin to take away one of the most beautiful colors in your paint palette of emotions. Anger is an emotion that allows us to create definition. It is an emotion that allows you to create space for yourself to move into the next experience. It is the emotion that allows you to create boundaries. It is the emotion that allows you to create change. And so when you have become practiced at hiding your anger, repressing your anger, putting your anger down, down, down below the surface because you don't believe you're safe to tell your truth because of repercussions, and those may be very real, warranted repercussions you encountered. You made a decision, a survival based decision. I can't be honest. I can't be honest with my dad. I can't be honest with my mom. I can't be honest with the people around me because of repercussions. And so when that gets internalized, somewhere it gets filed and your software begins to optimize and move in the knowledge that we've made this decision, keep going. And now you're forward future. And now you're in realities where you need to set definition. You need to set a hard line. Don't disrespect me. No, I will not tolerate that. I need to advocate for myself. You see, when you have definition, you can actually advocate for yourself. You can create space for yourself in business meetings. You can create space for yourself in your relationship. You can create space for yourself in a future that you want to move towards and live inside of. You can do this when you're comfortable acknowledging you're here to take up space. It's your birthright. You're allowed to be here. You're allowed to take space. In taking space, you have to become okay reconciling other people's disappointment, disapproval, and rejection of you. Now, when that is still stuck in your nervous system, the experiential pain of disappointing your family, your parents, feeling their disappointment, feeling their dismissal, feeling their rejection, feeling that complete sense of shame that comes out of the one you love, you make a real internalized point of view where you say, I will sacrifice myself so that they are okay. And when you make that kind of a decision, you become a burden carrier. First, you carry your own burden because you don't want to put onto that person you love the burden of your confrontation, your disapproval, your difference of opinion, whatever your emotion is that you feel that they will not be able to contain, and they may not have been able to contain it. But in that, you now do not want to be a burden. So you hold your emotions in, carrying them silently. Second, you become a carrier of the burden of other people's emotions. And this is a sentence of complete burnout, health conditions, and eventually either depression and even suicide. We're talking about this in a very real way because when you become so tethered by having to be vigilant all the time of other people's emotions in order to garner your safety because you believe that is the only way you will feel safe, you will lead to your own self collapsing. It'll happen because you, no matter how much you are resilient, you are not a superhero. Although you may want to be Superman or Superwoman, can't carry the burden of responsibility for other people's emotions. Each human being is responsible 100% for themselves. It's a full time job being responsible for yourself. And here you are trying to be a superhero and be the savior and the rescuer of all these other people's emotional realities. And for most of these other people, what you're witnessing is their reactivity to their discomfort in life and them being really loud about it. And so you placating their discomfort and not wanting them to be in that discomfort so you can in turn relax, try to start fixing, start cleaning it up. Start doing whatever it requires of you. Because to walk away from that person, to show disapproval to that person, would mean the thing that you didn't want to happen, that you would make them feel alienated, hurt, disappointed in. You would make them feel the way you felt growing up. And the thing is, we are in a free will reality. And the truth is, people have to want to change for themselves for change to take place. If you spend your life continuously believing that you are the only person that is capable of helping this person through their life experiences, you are not only going to feel bound at the hip by them, you're going to become resentful. And you're going to start to, that beautiful heart of yours that is naturally caring, naturally kind, is going to start to close up because of bandwidth capacities. You will be pushed into a place of chronic survival. Because when you're in a reality of being responsible for other people's burdens, you literally don't get to rest. You can't. Because there's always one more issue. There's always another cycle. And until you reconcile the realization that they have to have their own emotional resilience, they have to be responsible for their own mental and emotional health, they have to be responsible for their own ways of navigating life. We are all in this thing called life together, but each one has their own responsibility of how they choose to approach each moment. And some people choose the route of being pessimistic. Some people choose to see everything from a place of being a victim. It's happening to me. It's happening to me. And when it's happening to me, I need to let everybody else know that I'm in pain. And then there's other people who take on the attitude of optimism and say, I'm going to look for the silver lining. I'm going to see the lesson in this hurt, in this pain, in this discomfort, and I'm going to grow with it. These are the people who end up winning. Winning comes, though, to the optimist when they no longer become responsible for other people's emotions. And if you're listening to this video, most likely you're a burden carrier, carrying the burdens of your family, your children, your spouse, your parents, your clients, your business colleagues. You're beginning to be utilized from a place of feeling your own value juxtaposed on the fact that you help them solve their problems. Solve their problems by giving them space, being a listening ear, giving them solutions, doing whatever it is that they are describing as something they don't know how to do. And the truth is, there is a hint of actual unbelief you carry for that person when you function that way. When you say, I don't believe you can figure this out yourself, so I have to give you the answer, I have to give you the solution, you are subconsciously training that person to say, yes, I need this person because I don't think I can do it. And you are actually setting that person up for a greater pitfall down the line. If you truly love these people, you truly care for them, which I know you do, you will let them go. And sometimes they will have to spin out for a second and fall and find themselves at that point. And it might look like a rock bottom, but then they can reconcile the realization, I'm here, I don't want to be here, I'm going to get up. See, the hard truth is a victim can't be helped out of their victim reality. They have to come to an internalization of, do I want to choose to be like this forever? Or do I want to choose to take ownership of my life and move forward? And you could be an encourager. You can be somebody who loves them from afar, but you cannot be their savior. The reason I'm bringing all this up is because underneath your repressed anger, which then, when situations are going awry, brings up shame, brings up self-condemnation, because the anger has to go somewhere, it usually goes inward. You start to spiral, and then you are in a place of helplessness because you feel like everything is your fault. You feel like you're in a position where you're like, I want to do better, but I don't believe I can. And your mental resources are so spent, you don't have the creativity and the juice to keep moving forward in the direction you're choosing. And sometimes you don't even see the direction you're trying to go because you're still trying to go in a direction while carrying all these other people. I want you to think of this example for a second. This came to me when I was going through my own process. I want you to imagine Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man, if you've seen the imagery of him, he's flying through the air and he's spinning his webs and he's going. Now, he's moving at light speed. Now, imagine Spider-Man going, releasing his web, and then having his other hand with three webs to three 18-wheeler trucks. And he's trying to go forward, but he's got these 18-wheeler trucks behind him. Those 18-wheeler trucks are the people you love that you're carrying their burdens, carrying their emotional responsibility for their lives, and feeling like if you let them go, it's going to mean collapse. It's going to mean like they can't do it. It's going to mean like some kind of breakdown or fallout. In your mind, it is a terrible worst case scenario, and it may look like that for a second. But ultimately, each person has to walk their own life out, their own destiny. You can't be their savior. And so when you make this decision to say, I'm going to let them go, there is a grief that arises, a grief of letting go of what was, of what could have been, and what is. And as you let that go, though, you become free and you're able to go and you're able to move in the direction of your destiny. And that's why we're talking about this, because to step into your power, to step into abundance, you have to recognize you're a unit of one. You are far less likely to experience as many problems as you think going forward when you realize you can let go of the burdens of the past and you realize you just have to be true to you. When you're true to you, it's actually easy. It's easier to move forward in these random new unknowns from a place where you can just be real as the sense data comes into you. You can make decisions that are clear for you. But when you're pandering and when you're living in self doubt, it's because you're constantly oscillating in this space within where you're like, I can't be true. Because even to be true would be me being honest. I want to say no. I want to say no to this person, to this opportunity, to this deal, to this circumstance, to this choice. And I have to be okay with their disappointment in me. I have to be okay with their disapproval of me. I have to be okay with potentially doing something that goes completely against the grain because I know my destiny's calling me in this direction and I have to be true to that inner calling. And underneath grief will arise naturally a lot of unspoken anger in the form of rage and a sense of anger that almost feels uncontainable. But I'm wanting to begin this conversation with you because anger is actually the emotion that when you begin to feel it will give you an enormous empowerment to understand that yes, you are angry at those persons that you carried, and angry at those persons for not choosing themselves, angry at those persons for taking from you, angry at those persons for taking advantage of you, angry at the disrespect you tolerated, angry at the fact that you have been holding back, hoping they would make a different decision, and you were waiting, hoping and wishing and not getting the outcome. In fact, it was getting worse. So what happens when you finally come to touch that anger? Boom, you have to start telling yourself the truth. And you can go and watch the last coaching video we did on the truth is, because the truth is your process to stay in your authentic clarity. It is you being committed to your actual self. It is you being real as an experiencer of life. And when you speak to the truth and you say, the truth is, this is how I feel about that person. The truth is, this is how I feel about myself. Truth is, this is what I'm feeling right now. The truth is, truth is, the truth is. And you speak it out or you go and journal it out. I highly recommend journaling it and write it with that prompt. The truth is, dot, dot, dot. Because as mentioned before, when you speak, the truth is, you're not only wiring your nervous system, but you are literally going beyond your mind and directly into your heart, and your authentic voice is coming out. Your mind isn't negotiating, it's not creating a narrative. It's not, I think, dot, dot, dot. It's the truth is. And you, as a living vessel for this experience of life, housed in this body, the spirit within, is clear. It's only muddled and caught in the fog of all these stories that you had to navigate because of all these other people who are more committed to the lie than the truth. Well, to break through in abundance, you have to be radically committed to the truth, being committed to the truth within yourself so that you can experience the truth of what life has to give you. So you can see opportunities on the horizon and seize them. So you're going to have to become comfortable feeling your anger. And it doesn't mean you go and displace that anger on others. It means you learn to feel it. You may need to go to the gym. You may need to go and listen to some hardcore music. You may need to go yell in a pillow or go yell in nature. You may need to move the energy through your body and let your nervous system start becoming okay without placating it, without quickly dismissing it and minimizing your anger, quickly justifying for them. See, your intellect is so smart and you're so practiced in understanding everybody that you don't even understand yourself. So, to learn to be with your anger is to come to a deeper level of self understanding. And when you come to this deeper level of self understanding, the beauty arises, that clarity emerges, clarity for you in the direction you're going, clarity for you on what you won't tolerate, clarity for you on the boundaries you're drawing, clarity for you on how to speak and advocate for yourself in the face of people who have gotten used to you being a certain way. You become alive. You become an agent of change. You become somebody who can choose destiny, somebody who can choose abundance, somebody who can choose their happiness, somebody who's choosing themselves is somebody who can receive from all of life. And that's what this is all about. That's what the Abundance Accelerator is about, which, if you're not in, I'm inviting you to come into. I've made it extremely accessible, $49 a month. It's the access to continually deepening with the do it yourself coaching program while we have group coaching. And we are going to be hammering into all of your limited beliefs. We're going to be hammering into all of the stories that are showing up that keep your old nervous system firing in shame, fear, repressed anger, grief, sadness, loneliness. All of those feelings have to be moved through, and you need to start to come through them so you can start to internalize, I have a future that I'm getting excited for. And in fact, I'm starting to create a life that I don't want to escape. And it comes to no longer avoiding yourself. That's the heart of this work, facing yourself and everything that's coming within. And sometimes you have to face harsh truths, stories about people you've loved that you've been justifying for, that you need to see clearly. Because life is asking you to be that real so that you can deal with other people in the world clearly and not get taken advantage of. You need to learn to become comfortable with one of your most natural emotions, which is anger, and realize you're not going to express it the same way that someone expressed it to you, but that you are your own person and it is part of your human experience. And you are allowed to be here and you're allowed to have the full spectrum of emotions that every human has. And just because you've been apologizing for other people's reactivity, you don't need to apologize for yourself having a real experience. And being ready to make that change for yourself starts by starting to let go of the burdens of being responsible for other people. And then by telling yourself the truth, you begin to unburden yourself and take up space in the 3D. But internally, everything begins to become lighter. And when you begin to become lighter, all of a sudden your eyes expand, perception widens, you start to see the beauty and possibility in life. All of a sudden, next steps become apparent to you because you're no longer fixated on the past and the people who are committed to the lies, they're keeping them stuck in loops. Now you become directionally motivated, going in the direction that you are naturally being inspired to go. We're going to pause here. I hope that this landed. And if there's anything you need support with, reach out. God bless you.